What's going on, everybody? I hope you're enjoying your week so far and you're getting ready for another exciting weekend. This is NYG Jeffrey T85 here, and I'm bringing you my wild card round keys to victory for the New York Giants as they get ready to take on the Minnesota Vikings in a Christmas Eve rematch. Getting ready this Sunday for the wild card round, 4:30 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now, we all know what happened the last time these two teams faced one another. T.J. Hawkinson pretty much had his way in the middle of this defense for the New York Giants. He pretty much had 2 touchdowns. He had over 100 yards in this game. He controlled the middle of the field for the Minnesota Vikings against the Giants defense. Justin Jefferson, he also pretty much had his way against the Giants defense as well. On the outside, going up against Darnay Holmes, Fabian Moreau, and Nick McLeod. And of course, Giants made way too many mistakes on the special teams end of things and on the offensive side of the field. Where you had the Daniel Bellinger fumble when the Giants were driving down to try to score a touchdown. You had the Cordell Flott drop. Cordell Flott dropped interception, where pretty much that cost the Giants a chance to pick off Kirk Cousins and put them in a good position to get the football back. You also had the Richie James drop over the middle of the football field on a 3rd down and long play that stopped the Giants on a drive. You have the Jamie Gillen mishap that happened where he dropped the punt, tried to double kick it, and it ended up hurting the Giants on that play. And then you have the multiple times 3rd down and long for the Vikings offense, and the Giants couldn't get off the football field. So the Giants had multiple reasons why they lost that game against the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, it was capped off by a 61-yard field goal by Greg Joseph, the Minnesota Vikings kicker, at the end of the football game. And that's how the Minnesota Vikings were able to escape, let's just be real, escape the New York Giants game on Christmas Eve. Well, we're back once again. Giants, Vikings, rematch now after the game against Christmas Eve. Back in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Back in that dome. And the Giants are going to be getting a little bit better because they're going to be having a couple of other players and reinforcements back out there on the football field. Last time they did not have Xavier McKinney, they're going to have Xavier McKinney. Last time they did not have Adoree Jackson, they're going to have Adoree Jackson. This team is going to be a lot more deep in terms of having their better players out there on defense compared to what they had last time. So it's going to be a much different story when the Giants are going up against the Vikings. And don't forget, Daniel Jones had a pretty good game against the Vikings. He went out there and he had at least about a couple of touchdowns, including driving the Giants down the field on that game time play. After the Vikings went up by 8, Daniel Jones helped drive the team down the football field, and along with that Saquon Barkley touchdown right up the middle, you also had Daniel Bellinger catch the 2-point conversion, which helped the Giants be able to tie that football game before the Vikings eventually were able to drive down the field and get that game-winning field goal. So, what are the Giants going to have to do different this game compared to what they did last time against the Vikings to make sure that the Giants will be able to pick up the victory in this football game? That's the biggest question going into this game against the Minnesota Vikings. Well, time to give you my wild card round keys to victory for the New York Giants. And it's going to have to be a little bit similar to what the Giants did the last time they played the Vikings, but they're going to obviously have to be a little bit different. Going to have to be a little bit different for the Giants going into this game. Number 1, keys to victory is the number 1. You have got to contain Dalvin Cook in this running game. The Minnesota Vikings offense, no matter what, starts with Dalvin Cook. He is the engine of that offense. Much like with the Giants, their engine is Saquon Barkley. The Minnesota Vikings engine on that offense is Dalvin Cook. You have got to make sure Dalvin Cook stays inside the pocket. You cannot allow Dalvin Cook to be able to break some of these runs off to the outside. You cannot allow Dalvin Cook to be able to run up the middle of the football field. You cannot allow Dalvin Cook to be able to get at least 4, 5, 6 yards per carry every single time he touches the football in this game. The Giants have actually done a little bit better job stopping the run lately compared to what they were doing at the beginning of the season. The Giants have done a much better job stopping the run against opposing teams compared to earlier on in the season. This is going to be a big-time test. It's going to be a big-time test. Because Dalvin Cook is not only a very good running back running the football, he's also very good at catching the football over the middle of the football field. So you've got to try to find a way to make sure you limit the big plays by Dalvin Cook. He's the one that's going to ignite that Minnesota Vikings offense. If he's going to go out there and get at least 4, 5, 6 yards on a pop every single carry, the Giants are going to be in trouble. If you can have Dalvin Cook only get 2, 2.5 yards, maybe 3 yards per carry, and you're putting the Vikings offense in 2nd and 3rd and 7, 3rd and long, that is going to play right into the Giants' hands for what they can do to cause Kirk Cousins to turn the football over. You're going to have to make sure Dalvin Cook does not destroy this football game. Because he's the one that starts this whole offense. He's the one that gets this offense going. And if you allow Dalvin Cook to go out there and have these big chunk runs all the time, you're in for a long day. So the biggest thing the Giants needed to do going into this football game, first off, make sure Dalvin Cook does not destroy it. Plain and simple. And if you want to throw Alex Madison in there too, that's fine. Alex Madison is not a bad backup running back for the Minnesota Vikings. Number 2 is not that bad. But honestly, it all starts with number 4. It all starts with Dalvin Cook. If you can keep him limited in the running game, and if you have your linebackers in the middle, check out or check down in the middle of the field to make sure that Dalvin Cook doesn't catch one of those big passes and picks up a chunk yardage, Giants are going to be in pretty good shape when it comes to guarding the rest of these really good playmakers on the outside in the middle of the football field for the Minnesota Vikings. It all starts with stopping Dalvin Cook and making sure he doesn't go off for some of these big runs. That's key number 1. Key number 2 in this game, this one is an easy one. The Giants' pass rush has got to absolutely come to life and make it a living nightmare for Kirk Cousins in that pocket. Minnesota is going into this football game. They have 2 offensive linemen that will not play. Their right tackle was put on injured reserve, Brian O'Neill. So they're going to be having a backup right tackle out there on the football field. Their backup center was also injured and put on injured reserve. And they're going to be getting Garrett Bradbury back at center, but at the same time, Garrett Bradbury's coming off an injury. This is a perfect setup for the New York Giants to utilize their biggest strength on this defense, and that is the pass rush. So I'm looking at, obviously, 4 guys. Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Azeez Ojulari, and Kayvon Thibodeaux. The fact that you're going to be going up against a backup right tackle plays right in the hands of Kayvon Thibodeaux and Azeez Ojulari. Whoever that backup right tackle is already going to be in a vulnerable spot, trying to help protect Kirk Cousins on the outside. And Cousins is not really a big scrambler. Cousins is more of a sit back in the pocket and try to throw the ball to his receivers. He's more of a pocket passer than he is a scrambler. He's the exact opposite of what Daniel Jones can do. The pass rush has got to go out there, and they have got to make Kirk Cousins' life a living hell. And the thing is, if you can get a consistent pass rush from this New York Giants defensive line and outside linebackers, you could start causing and creating turnovers. Because if you can get and make Kirk Cousins uncomfortable, you could hit him in that pocket, knock him to the ground, or force him into mistakes. If you can get a consistent pass rush on the outside or through the middle of the defense, you are going to cause Kirk Cousins to turn the football over. Because he does not like pressure up the middle. He does not like pressure in his face. He does not like any type of pressure anywhere near him. The Giants' pass rush can really make it a nightmare for Kirk Cousins to operate in that pocket. You could cause a fumble. You can cause a tipped interception. You can cause an interception just with him making a bad throw, trying to escape out of the pocket. The Giants' pass rush has got to step their game up. They've got to hit Kirk Cousins, knock him to the ground, get some hurries, get some hits, quarterback hits, pressures, and eventually leading to some sacks. That's my second key to the game. My third key to the game is going to be the exact opposite of my second. The Giants' offensive line has got to let Daniel Jones be able to go out there and scan the football field to find his receivers. And I'm going to look at one key matchup specifically. Evan Neal against Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith. Evan Neal, the seventh overall pick from Alabama, for the most part has struggled this year. But it's going to happen when you have a rookie offensive tackle. But Neal, for the most part, has struggled this year. And you're going to be going up against two of the best pass rushers in the NFC, whom, last time the Giants played the Vikings, Evan Neal was eaten for lunch. They took Evan Neal to school. They taught this rookie some new aspects on the football field. So this is going to be a huge game for Evan Neal. They are going to be zeroing in on number 73, the Vikings defensive line. They are going to be looking at game tape and seeing exactly what Evan Neal did these past few games. And they know this kid is struggling right now on the field. Now, we don't know how healthy Evan Neal is. He has been banged up the latter part of the season. Remember, he suffered that sprained MCL against the Jaguars, which caused him to miss multiple weeks in the season. Plus, he also picked up a shoulder injury in the time being as well. Not making an excuse, but Evan Neal has got to have the game of his life, the game of this season. He's got to go out there and be able to have a big-time game stopping Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter. Both those guys, especially Danielle Hunter, had themselves games against Evan Neal, namely Danielle Hunter. I believe Danielle Hunter had 2 sacks against Daniel Jones last game. And that was because he was against Evan Neal. So, the entire offensive line needs to do a good job keeping Daniel Jones upright to allow him to be able to pull off some of these read options and these bootleg runs to the outside or up the middle of the field. But at the same time, I am looking specifically at that matchup at right tackle with Evan Neal going up against those 2 pass rushers. I believe he's going to be going up against Danielle Hunter because I think that Zadarius Smith is going to be going against Andrew Thomas. And right now, I feel very confident Andrew Thomas on the left side will be able to hold up. In terms of the middle of the the offensive line, I mean, we'll see. Because I don't know who's going to be playing left guard. I'm assuming John Feliciano will be in there at center. Mark Lewinsky will be in there at right guard. And I mean, they might have a rotation with Nick Gates and Ben Bredesen. I'd rather have Bredesen in there at left guard and then have Nick Gates be able to rotate in and out. I mean, have him be able to be the backup guy. But either way, Evan Neal has got to have himself a very strong game. Evan Neal has got to stand up pretty well against that pass rush of the Minnesota Vikings. That is my third key to the game. So first key to the game, limiting Dalvin Cook's big runs, stopping the run. Key number 2, pass rush has got to step up and make Kirk Cousins' life a living hell. And then my third key, the offensive line has got to do a good job allowing Daniel Jones to be able to scan the field. And, of course, mostly looking at Evan Neal against those defensive ends of Minnesota Vikings, Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith. My fourth key to the game, Daniel Jones has got to utilize his legs. Saquon Barkley is going to be the focal point of Minnesota trying to stop this Giants offense. It's going to be stop and limit Saquon Barkley's big runs. Guess what that plays into? Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones can utilize his legs in this game and be able to pull off some of these big runs. This is exactly what the Giants want. They want to utilize Daniel Jones' legs. Last time the Giants played the Vikings, Daniel Jones had multiple big runs. Daniel Jones is coming off a huge game against the Indianapolis Colts the last time they played. This is going to be very interesting. You know the Giants have got a lot of read options and a lot of bootleg runs set up for Daniel Jones because they know this is what this guy does the best. He's going to make it believe that he's going to hand that ball off to Saquon Barkley, and then there goes number 8, taking off to the outside and picking up some of those big runs. You know for a fact Mike Kafka and Brian Daboll are going to try to utilize the legs of Daniel Jones in this game. They are going to allow Daniel Jones to be able to go out there and get these big runs. Because that's what Daniel Jones' game is. That is what Daniel Jones does the best on the football field, is being able to pull off these monster runs for the New York Giants. So I expect a lot of read options, a lot of runs for Daniel Jones. Because that Vikings defense is going to be teeing up on stopping Saquon Barkley from him picking up those big runs. And for the most part, in that first time we played, they did. Saquon Barkley did not run wild against the Minnesota Vikings the first matchup. But Saquon Barkley, when Daniel Jones was able to pick up those big runs, and when Richie James, Isaiah Hodgins, and Darius Slayton were able to get some big catches, that is when Daniel Jones' legs became a big factor. And eventually Saquon Barkley had a big run up the middle. That is my fourth key to the game. Utilize Daniel Jones' legs. And my fifth key to the game is all about special teams. Special teams has got to be more consistent in this game. Special teams has been a problem for the New York Giants recently. We have been getting gashed in our special teams as of late. We have not been able to play good punt coverage and kick coverage, as well as punt returning and kick returning has not been good. And let's just be real, Jamie Gillen has lately been a disaster punting the football. The only guy that has been consistent all season long for the most part has been Graham Gano. The Giants need the rest of their special teams to step the hell up. We cannot allow the Minnesota Vikings to be able to dictate field position in this game. The Giants are going to want to control the clock and time of possession. And it all starts with special teams. This is going to have to be a game where Thomas McGahee has got to get that special teams in order. And I'm not saying it's all Thomas McGahee's fault. He's a coach. He can do what he can with the special teams. These guys have got to go out there and execute. This is going to be a big game for this Giants special teams to be able to go out there, get them, put them in very good field position, either at the 35, 40-yard line at times, and for the Giants punt and kick coverage to not allow the Minnesota Vikings to be able to go out there and get themselves into good field position. And Jamie Gillen has got to have the punting of his life. That is my fifth key to the game. Special teams has got to step up. So just to go over the keys to the game one more time. Key number 1, limit Dalvin Cook's big runs and catching passes. Key number 2, harass Kirk Cousins and make it uncomfortable for him in the pocket. Key number 3, Giants have got to be able to... Key number 3, the Giants have got to be able to get some plays up the middle. Utilize Daniel Jones' legs. Key number 4, read options, like I mentioned. Read options up the middle with Daniel Jones' legs. And key number 5, special teams. Step the hell up, special teams. I'm sorry, key number 3 was offensive line's got to protect Daniel Jones, and namely Evan Neal has got to have a good game. The Giants, for the first time since 2016, are in the playoffs. We got a rematch against the Minnesota Vikings. This is a game the Giants could easily win. The Giants are riding a wave of momentum after they played that huge game against the Colts and after they sat their starters against the Philadelphia Eagles in the season finale. And the backups went out there and played a hell of a game against that Eagles starting team with their backups. The Giants are riding a strong momentum of wave. And a lot of people are picking the Giants, which makes a lot of Giants fans nervous. Doesn't make me nervous because I expect the Giants to win this game. I think the Giants are the better team. I think the Vikings are frauds a little bit. Even though they're a very good offensive team, I think the Giants can go out there and win. And I'm picking the New York Giants to win this football game by the final score of 27-24. The Giants will win this game on a field goal by Graham Gano as a little payback after the last time we played this team and Greg Joseph hit the game-winning field goal. I think it's going to be the other way around. I think Graham Gano is going to hit the game-winning field goal to send us to the divisional round. But that is your New York Giants keys to victory for this wild card round against the Minnesota Vikings. So if you guys like this video, hit the like button below. Sub up if you haven't already to NYGJeffreyT85 for more breaking news, updates, chatter, and keys to victory for the New York Giants. Turn on the bell for notifications on the next video or short they'll be dropping on the channel surrounding the New York Giants. And you guys let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree with the keys to victory in this video, and what are your keys to a victory for the New York Giants to pull off this victory against the Minnesota Vikings and advance to the divisional round of the playoffs. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend. Take it easy, and let's go New York Giants. Let's get it done. Let's go out there and let's pull off a big victory and get ready for this playoff run for the New York Football Giants. As always, let's go New York Giants, and finishing it off with a big, strong Together Blue.